Hello. So we're still waiting for other people to show up before we officially start our recording. Please stand by. This is the beauty of having a live show, right, Derek?
That's right. Lots of fun.
Yeah. We're just waiting for Mark to start before we actually officially start the show. So please stand by. Okay. I think Mark is about to log in. He just sent me a text. Oh, who do we have here?
Hello, hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello. Okay. Mark, are you ready? I'm going to start my intro and we can start this amazing show we have today.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay. Let me just drink one more go here. Okay. Where's my script here? All right, ready? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coffee Mug Show. This is episode 10, recorded live on August 12th, 2018. Welcome to the Star Wars episode, or the Star Wars special. My name is Leonard, and this morning I am drinking a Yoda mug coffee for Christmas, again, for my coffee. And this morning, I am joined by two of my lovely nerds, Derek and Mark. Derek, how are
Who are
you?
you calling a nerd? I'm not a nerd.
What do you call yourself, a geek?
I am a geek. I am not a
Oh,
nerd.
okay, fine. Okay, Captain Geek, do you want to go
I'm
first? What are you drinking this morning?
Oh, as you guys know, I really don't drink coffee, so I got my juice in my Star Wars mug. I mean, a lot of you guys have seen this mug before, but this is a special mug to me. It was a gift from one of my closest cousins, so that's what I'm drinking today.
Derek, what do we call you,
just
a geek or a nerd?
a geek. Nobody likes nerd. It's politically incorrect now.
I
I'm
agree. I
drinking
agree.
just some juice in here. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a Star Wars mug, so this is what we got this morning. But I do have my nice Star Wars T-shirt here.
Oh, nice,
Yoda.
Awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
So,
See, I mean, I got my Vader shirt on. All right,
Ah,
oh, can I see it? Can I see? Ooh.
that's my Vader.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. Well,
I gotta.
okay.
I had a choice of Boba Fett, right? Kylo Ren. My original Star Wars T-shirt. So
So you are totally geeking this thing out, nerding this out.
oh, no, geeking it
Geeking,
out. All
geeking.
right.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, so if you guys are joining us live, especially at Twitch, you can go straight to YouTube. The link is actually in the chat room right now. If it's not there, I'll redo it again. Join us at YouTube. So you guys can join us in the chat room. Also, you can also join us to do some polling, because starting right now, you can vote who has the best mug from all three of us.
I
So
think I'm gonna lose this week.
whatever. We'll check out the polls every segment. See what's happening there.
Oh wow,
Um,
100% for me already. Yeah.
oh wow, you just voted for yourself. You are such a geek.
Hey, it's that we're in a democratic society. I'm allowed to vote for myself if I wanted to.
Yes, yes. Also, we're waiting for one of our special guests to come in. They're just having technical issues. Chad, hopefully he can join us. We found Derek, actually found him. He is considered a
I
Star
didn't
Wars.
find him. What do
You
you mean I
bumped into
found
him. You literally found him. He is a Star Wars quote unquote expert. So hopefully, if he
The
comes online, he can have a good debate with Mark and see the fireworks.
The man had
Why?
a
Why
sci-fi
is it
wedding.
me?
He had a sci-fi wedding. I mean, there was like for the seating chart was a Stargate ring. That was the seating chart at the
Awesome.
man's wedding. Like,
But why is it for me? Why is he has to debate with me? It's huh?
We'll
we
put
had
it
to
this
bring
way.
in the big guns for you, man. We had
Yeah,
to do
I
that.
know. We gotta make this a little bit more call it interesting and challenging for you.
Interesting and challenging for me. What is this?
well,
Trivia Pursuit
last
Star Wars?
last week you considered yourself an expert, so we decided to bring someone else in to see if we can debate him.
That's fantastic.
He's probably like watching it right now, going, "Damn, they're really talking me up. I gotta
You
be on
gotta
my
bring
A
his A
game."
game. Okay, so while we're waiting for him, I just want to let you guys know, please subscribe in our YouTube channel so you can watch us live, and so you guys know what's happening. Especially if you go live or any new show that comes up, you can actually get a tweet automatically and a notification. Also, yeah, actually, I just ran out of my thoughts there. I just forgot what I'm supposed to say, but I'll figure something out. So today's topics for the Star Wars special is we have three great topics. So one of our first topic we're going to talk about is Star Wars canon versus legend. Okay. Second topic we're going to talk about is is Stormtroopers combat skills. Okay. Next is viewing orders. Okay, like regarding how the movie's supposed to flow. The last topic is prequel trilogy. If they're a good idea or bad ideas. If okay, so topic one: Star Wars canon versus legend. Mark, I'm gonna pick on you. Do you want to
Of course.
read the materials here?
Let me bring it up here. Hold on.
Yeah, because you're very passionate about this. Because when you read it, you're very. I got this feeling you're very passionate about this regarding the difference between canon versus legend.
Canon versus legend. All right. So legend, if you've been a Star Wars fan and have followed Star Wars from 1977 until The Force Awakens, Legends was the canon. Like it was um all the stuff leading up to A New Hope, leading up to the very first prequel, until 30 years uh after the Battle of Yavin. Um, when I mean the Battle of Yavin, Star Wars Legends and actually Star Wars right now, chronologically is everything that happened after the Battle of Yavin, which is the final, like when the first Death Star was destroyed in Star Wars: A New Hope. Then you have Empire Strikes Back, you have Return of the Jedi, and then every little in between stories between those two movies, and then everything that happened after Return of the Jedi, from Han and Leia getting married, having kids, Luke getting married, having a kid, how their kids became
Oh, Mark just froze. Derek, are you good?
um
Mark, you just froze for like 2 seconds there. Can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay, yeah, you were freezing a bit there. So, can you
Wow, I
repeat
guess this what was the last thing that you guys hear?
You were finishing off your Legends versus canon description of
Oh,
the timeline. It was like the last sentence you said.
yeah, so basically Legends was everything after Return of the Jedi and everybody having their families and the new generation of the Jedi Order. Come Force Awakens, Disney decides that all that is scrapped. It is now known Legends, and there's a new canon. So there were new stories, new books written, Aftermath, which was happening right after Return of the Jedi, and so forth to what we have now into the movies, to the Last Jedi and the upcoming Episode 9. Um, Including in canon, you got the Rogue One story about how the Death Star plans were actually stolen, which is actually a great movie, and it actually clears and eliminates a lot of the plot holes leading up to Star Wars: A New Hope. And then you had the new Han Solo movie about his origin. So that's the difference between legend and canon. Myself, I understand why they did that, and I have an opinion why they did that. Um, and some people out there have also felt the same way as to why they did this. So, and what I mean, why, what I feel about is Disney had to scrap the canon and create legends because they wanted to bring back Chewbacca.
So I get why they wanted to bring back Chewbacca. Everybody loves him. It's great. It's wonderful. But to really throw out everything else just for one character is where I start to question that a great deal.
Well, but you also have to understand, uh, the whole thing about the legends, all the expanded universe, the Star Wars expanded universe, which is now known as Legends. All those stories were written by different authors, written by different individuals, with the input of George Lucas. That if you're gonna write this story, you got to follow this route, right? You can't just change everything. So when Disney bought out Lucasfilm, excuse me, everything Star Wars related, Lucasfilms, Lucas Arts, um, they had to make some changes and they had to create uh, their own view of how the Star Wars was supposed to be like.
But
And I
in
get that.
doing that, did they really need to make so many changes? I mean, I know it's a quote unquote Disney change in regards to making it more broad to more people, trying to, create characters that have certain roundabouts and so forth, and how they're looking at those characters. To me, I also wonder how much the original scripts or the original, because George, he didn't write out the scripts for the last three. He didn't do that, but he did have a framework of it. And I wonder how much of that framework did Disney use or not use, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? They actually, I mean, from what I understand, they did have some calls. They did consult Lucas regarding these final three episodes of the Skywalker saga. Um, and I like they're throwing in new things in it, and some changes in it, and it actually, for me, although I like the expanded universe and I prefer the expanded universe, I like the change. I like a like this, something was finally solidified in what how this is going to end. Um, I mean, with the expanded universe, if you actually read a lot of these stories, and actually, the last one I actually did read, um, where it was the series where Chewbacca actually died, and one of the Solo kids died. It was uh, a little darker. It was more of a, yes, it's another war story and everything like that, but it became a little bit more dark, in my opinion. Um, and then it came down to the point where the whole Legends is the story of Darth Caedus.
Is this
Um,
the son of Dark Mom?
no, Darth Caedus is actually one of the twins, Solo twins. So in Legends, um, Han Solo and Princess Leia actually had three kids. The two eldest were Jaina and Jason Solo. They were twins, Jaina being the eldest. And then they had Anakin, again, named after his grandfather. Anakin died during the Yuzhan War, during Legends, during the same series of where Chewbacca died. And then it went across where after that, and years later, Jaina and Jason became Jedi Knights. Um, but Jason was turned to the dark side and became Darth Caedus, to the point where he actually killed off Mara Jade Skywalker, Luke Skywalker's wife. Um, and Jaina had to go and try to resolve him. Like, I believe also Jason actually cut off Jaina's arm. So Jaina has a prosthetic arm, just like her grandfather did.
Now
Um,
I could see how that in a complexity perspective for Disney was too complex to put on film, and that
And
doesn't
that
make sense to me. Yeah,
you see,
so I could. You make a good point there, where they would just look at that and go, "No way, we're not." They can make movies out of that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Uh,
they can, and like I said, and the Skywalker saga became a loop. It became a circle. Like it went from Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker turning to the dark side. Hi, Michelle.
Mark said hi. She said hi. Yeah, she's assisting me today.
Um, so we have Anakin Skywalker in the prequels turning into Darth Vader, getting redemption. Then his son, actually Luke, actually became an apprentice to Palpatine and had to be, saved by Leia to get him out of, from becoming in the dark and returning to the light side. Then you have this whole story of Luke looking for his mom, looking for Jedi Order, setting up the new Jedi Order, marrying a person that was supposed to kill him, which is Mara Jade, and then they have a kid, and then like I said, it went always a circle. It was going back. Okay, Jedi turns dark side. Dark side has to be saved. You know, to the point where literally Jason couldn't be saved, and Jaina had to kill her own brother.
So let's talk
So,
about let's talk about the movies then in the context of what Disney did. All right, so that actually gives good
Actually,
context as to what they did.
it's
Right?
actually okay. Hold on, because under StarWars.com, according to them, the canons is all the movies, including the Clone Wars, all the TV shows, including all
uh-huh.
the books. So I believe the books itself is correct. Including the Darth Maul, son of Darth Mir's comic book miniseries.
Yeah. See,
Mark,
and
do
that's
you watch
another.
Rebels? Do you watch Rebels?
You know what? Okay, everybody's gonna kill me. I have not watched an episode of Rebels or the Clone Wars. However, don't get me wrong. However, I have when I have the time, I'm gonna binge watch them because I have them. I could binge watch them on Netflix. So I can't speak about Rebels or the Clone Wars. I know some of the characters and I know what's been going on in it. It's just unfortunately with um my current lifestyle right now, I have no time to actually sit down and watch.
There's a
So
list online where you can actually just pick and choose certain episodes that are related to the storylines, and you can just watch those. So that might
yeah,
be
no,
helpful.
no. No, thanks for that, and I know about that. It's just that I can't. I have to watch. I have to watch everything, like all the episodes, and I'm talking about 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, or 6 seasons, and
You can
everything
share
about.
it through. There's only like 20 minutes, like without commercials. There's like 20 minutes. It's not
Oh,
that
I
bad.
know. Like I said, I need a day. I needed it just to sit down and not have the like everybody out of the house, and I can just sit down and it's like, okay, I'm gonna start binge watching. Nobody, and I might do it in such a way that I watch Rogue One first, then and actually not Rogue One. I'll watch the prequels first, then I watch Rebels, Clone Wars, then I watch Rogue One, then I watch
Yeah.
episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, 7, and 8, right? And I might do that once I actually get episode 9 here at home. Like once I buy, like, yes, I have all the movies and everything like that. So I'm going to
Okay,
binge watch.
Okay,
okay.
but going back to my thought then about the way the direction Disney took. So that's a good explanation that people are listening as to why that happened. And I actually like that explanation. But when we talk about the scripts that they wrote, I think personally they could have done better with what they had. All right. And my biggest gripe about the new movies isn't, you know, the First Order and so forth. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It makes a lot of sense. The First Order does make a lot of sense. My problem is every time they keep on jumping up to a bigger and bigger Death Star or whatever that might be, now it's a planet and so forth. I found they tried to merge three different movies, the first three movies, into one movie when they made episode 7, right?
Mhm.
And for me, I found that very annoying because you didn't feel any new progression out of it. The Rebel fleet at that point was much larger. Yes, they were still fighting them, but they had a much larger fleet at that point, as far as I know. And why wouldn't they just display that fleet, right? Rather than going to a planet and having six fighters go in and destroy the whole darn thing, right? Like,
Uh,
see what I'm saying?
yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. However, here's the thing. How many, I believe it was like a 30-year gap um, between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Now, I'm still trying to finish the aftermath books, and this is where a lot of context is lost. You have to look at Return of the Jedi, then you got to read all the books in between that leads up to Force Awakens, uh, and you'll understand what's going on. Now, I have not finished Aftermath, and I would love to read that book and all the other books in between. But if you're taking the look at the movies, you're looking at General Leia, General Leia herself, um, taking a band of people again, which is known as the Resistance, and fighting the First Order. However, with the backing of the New Republic. Um, so the New Republic had its fleet and their own army, but then there's also the Resistance. So the Resistance is not as big as what everybody would think of. Again, a resistance, these are little people, like, pocket cells that are working together for a bigger cause. When the Republic fleet was destroyed in The Force Awakens, um, everything, the people, like the resistance, was just a very small band of people left. And that's what happened in The Last Jedi. When you look at The Last Jedi and you look at the resistance fleet that were trying to escape from this one little planet, that's all they had, really. They had little other cells, and they were going to ask for help, but nobody responded, to the point where, guess what? Well, with all those ships being destroyed when they're trying to make it to the planet of Crate, yeah, their numbers got dwindled, and they're that last few that was left in the Millennium Falcon is what's left of the resistance group. I know, and then it's hard to get that explanation. It's hard to understand that without reading the books in between.
I find it also, maybe it's, in regards to reading the books, I find it questionable that over a 30-year period that they would not be able to accumulate more ships or whatever that might be. And also, you could make the argument that, the Empire was defeated. Why would they need to get more ships and so forth? And that's a legitimate argument,
Mhm.
right? But then the New Republic, you would think that their fleet would be a match to what was left over from the Empire, right? And I haven't read the books, but I know that's actually not true because there was still a very large fleet left over afterwards. But the idea of it, as I understand it, is they went away and then they came back. Like they
Yeah,
didn't, they left and then they came back after
yeah,
like 30 years or whatever.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the time frame is when the First Order actually first showed up again. Again, even in Legends, there
He froze good there.
Mhm.
into about
Oh, buddy, you froze,
You
dude.
froze really good there. That was funny.
where did I freeze?
I don't.
I'm just saying is that um in Legends they actually had an Imperial fleet that actually consisted of a superstar destroyer. Um and it was funny because the superstar destroyer was actually buried under the planet of Coruscant. Um but it's to give you a sense that yes, the Imperial fleet was large. It was massive. Um so yes, it didn't take long for the First Order. If they follow that same concept, it wouldn't take the First Order long to amass the amount of people and troops um, together to go against the New Republic. Again, I don't know what. Like I said, it all depends upon the timeline. The New Republic may have had a fleet set up, but it may not have been large enough to combat the First Order, right? Um, and then you also have the the resistance pockets who, well, guess what, the fight against the Empire is done. I'm out. I'm not going to fight no more. So it doesn't it is very difficult to try to establish all these little intricate parts without more backstories and more back information, and there's going to be a lot of plot holes in these movies and in the and in the books and in this canon going forward until somebody decides, well, okay, well, let's clear this plot hole up and see exactly what happened.
Okay, what
And
about then? What about the characters in the movie specifically? And some of them are stronger than others. We add the new Rebel, basically the replacement of Han Solo in there, as the new jock, or the guy who's able to go and do lots of cool stuff. And then we had Poe and so forth. What do you think about these new characters versus the older characters, and how they made us feel back in the original movies? Because I really connected with the original characters in the original
Mhm.
movie a lot more than I've connected with the new people in the
see,
new.
and that's the thing, because and this is going to go back towards the prequels. This is going back towards the prequels and why George Lucas actually made them. Star Wars, all these new Star Wars movies, are, yes, it's to reconnect the old generation, but it's to draw in new fans to the story. So some of us may not be able to, the older versions of us may not be able to connect to these newer people, but the younger generation might, because they might have a better understanding of how these people feel. They might connect to them in a way that, oh, wait a minute, that's exactly how I feel. This is how I feel in my life right now, right? So it's trying to connect the new audience to the story. Do have I connected to any of these new characters? No, I'm still connected to. I'm still invested in Han. I'm still invested in Luke, and I'm still invested in Leia because I grew up with them, and these are the ones I know. And now it's a changing of the guards. They're changing to the new generation, right?
Yeah.
So
I tend to look at that, and I get that piece as well. I just, for me, I don't find the characters as in depth and that might be a fault of Disney, not really fleshing them out, because you had a lot with the New Hope and so forth. You got to know the characters. In these, they kind of blow something up. The character arrives, and they give you 3 scenes to like connect with the character, and then they're off to do their adventure. Right? It's just not the same way that it used to be. Right?
You
but
think they
again,
were rushed? You think they were rushed making those movies?
I think the character development wasn't there, and it's not that I don't like the characters. It's just you're not as invested. Even in the prequels, they spent a lot of time looking at the characters and so forth. Even though I understand, I personally, as much as people say, I didn't hate the prequels that much. I really didn't. I thought it was interesting. It was funny. People mash on the Clone Wars a lot. I personally didn't mind that. There's a lot of people have very strong feelings about the prequels, and I think that mostly comes out of people were so hyped up to have new movies, and they wanted them to be exactly like the old movies, and there was no way that was going to happen, you know
definitely.
and George Lucas did his best. Do I think he made some slips with like Jar Jar Binks? Oh yeah, he made some mistakes there, but they were well written. They were George Lucas movies. They were thought out character development. He knew how to do that. And you wonder, who was it who made Awakening? Was it J.J. Abrams or somebody, or I'm not sure who was it that directed
Awakenings.
it. Was it J.J. Abrams
Oh, I don't know.
yeah,
Force
anyway,
Awakening. Yeah, it is
it,
the first one is by J.J.
it,
Abrams.
it comes down to the director,
Oh,
and
the
it comes
The
down,
Force Awakens.
yeah,
Yes,
the Force
JJ.
Awakens.
Sure. When you said Awakenings, I'm like, wait, the Robin Williams movie. I'm like, what? Yeah.
So okay, I just put a brand new poll in YouTube. Let us know if everyone who's watching live. Let us know if you guys like the prequel trilogy. Yes or no. So let's find out if it's if we get a
So
good
Have we checked the chat at all? Because we're kind
oh,
of rambling on like a lot
sorry,
here.
that's me. Nothing in the chats right now. I think everybody's
uh
engrossed.
chat. Yeah, because right now I have do you check YouTube? See
I
if there's
check
anything there?
YouTube and yeah. Oh, what's this? Laura Lee Michelle. I heard they are canceling the production of the new movies like the Yoda one. Have you heard of this? And what do you think?
Yeah, the Han Solo one. It
Okay.
bombed bad in the
Okay.
theater.
Can we let's put this on hold for a second because I wanted to go back to what Derek was saying.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, Chad is here. Sorry, guys, couldn't get on.
Yeah, so what we'll do, hey Chad, if you're actually listening to us, well, you are listening to us and watching us. We'll have you back in the next episode just recap and have your thoughts regarding Mark's regarding our conversation here. We just really want to hear your comments on this one. So we'll have you next in the next episode, and we'll chat about this
Okay.
again. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Mark. What you were
Okay.
saying?
So character development, and this is the difference between how movies are made back then and how movies are back now. Um, you could take any movie, and depending upon what the movie is, if it's an established story already, like the Star Wars, the Star Wars movies, Star Trek, um, and then you take a look of how they made them in the 70s and the 80s, and you take a look at them now. There's not a lot of character development. You take a look at um, the new Star Trek reboot.
Oh, don't let's not talk about that. No, no.
I know, I
Let's
know, no,
not go there, man. No, no, you
but
don't want
it,
to get into that.
I know, but it relates because guess what? J.J. Abrams is one who produced it and directed the first the Star Trek reboot, as well the Force Awakens. As a director, as a producer, as a filmmaker himself, you can see his styles are very. It's like the two movies are very similar in how they progressed. Was there a lot of character development in the Star Wars reboot and the Force Awakens? No, it went straight out to, okay, I need this action sequence here. I need this lens flare here. I need this, let's talk about this character over here. I need some action over here, and I need this lens flare over here. Um,
So you're telling us that the movie itself it will be a
It's a
lot
lot of
better.
lens flares.
It was
Lots of lens flare.
so in other words, you're telling me that the movie will be a much better if another director directs the movie.
Not
I think that when you look at the director, it's not George Lucas. George Lucas has he comes from I don't want to say a classical training in regards to filmmaking, but
He likes character development.
he's very much invested in what the audience is seeing. And J.J. Abrams is a younger guy and so forth, and it actually is a good notation of the generation where it's just fast, fast, fast. That's the generation that we live in now. That they want it right now, and they want it to go very fast, and that's.
and that's the thing. They want to cram. Like, even if you take a look at the Marvel movies, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of character development in the Marvel movies. What they want to do is cram all this action-packed sequences in 2 hours and get the movie progressing. Um, but there's not a lot of character. However, they make 3 movies for each character, and you can see them develop in that manner.
That's a bad example because Marvel did do that approach, and Star Wars isn't necessarily going to do that. However, I was quite annoyed when they canceled. Like, I would have preferred they did Yoda's prequel before doing Han Solo, and they did Han Solo, and it bombed terribly in the theaters. They didn't even make their money back on it. I personally didn't hate it. I think it was as good as Rogue One? Certainly not. But I would have hoped to see the Yoda one, and I'm really sad they canceled that because I wanted to see it.
So
I
they
really
did.
did.
Okay, so they did cancel that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, okay, the prequel stuff, because our next topic is actually prequel trilogy. Before we go ahead ourselves there, I'm gonna ask this question. The trilogy itself, do we really care about how Anakin became Anakin and how Obi-Wan failed Anakin?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, I agree. I do want to see that, but do you guys agree that the trilogy that was developed was really, well, I don't want to say bad, but it wasn't very it feels like it was like not very well done.
No. Okay. Here's
Is,
here's.
is that a fair thing to say?
Let me
Say
get
that-
this.
All right, go on, Mark. Go on.
All right, let me get here, because it came out of George Lucas's mouth as well. In an interview, and I can't, unfortunately, it's been so years, but in an interview, he has said, okay, the prequels weren't for the original fans. The prequels were for the new younger generation. And when he's talking about younger generations, it's like the kids. That's why he developed Jar Jar Binks. Also, George Lucas, and he even said it, like, even his actor said it. George Lucas cannot write dialogue for shit. He cannot write dialogue. So he goes, yeah, whatever you're gonna write, we're gonna do it our way to make it look bad. He can't write dialogue for shit. The prequels themselves were a great, like I would say, a great concept because why? It ties into as to it covers the plot holes. Where did Darth Vader come from? Why is it so? What? How did this war started? Why? Because when you start and you see the opening scroll of Star Wars, it says Episode 4.
Yes.
So everybody's wondering what happens to 1, 2, and 3, right? So him developing these movies finally tied in what everybody was waiting for.
And also, you got to understand, George Lucas had a great concept. He's a good storyteller. He's
Yes.
not a good writer, and that is a difference. Even in the original movies, the dialogue wasn't amazing. It was a great story, and the story is what people latched onto.
Yes.
That is what not so much the writing in it, but the story and also the visuals, of course, at the time. And so I do agree with your point there, Mark. Really.
Okay, how about this? Let me rephrase my question then. If the prequel was the prequel has been re-edited to get rid of like Jar Jar Binks, get rid of all the crap that we don't need to see, would that prequel be a lot more flowing to the second one, to the last three?
You know,
No,
Is
it's
that
not,
fair to say, or is it?
It's
no, it's
it's
not
not
fair.
that way. It's about the storytelling. It's not
It-
about we don't have to eliminate Jar Jar Binks. Yes, some people were offended and so forth, about him, and he made a bad call on it. But even in that, the characters were more developed than in the newer movies, right? So
yeah.
it's not about recutting it or anything. In fact, I think he added more. He always adds more to
He
them
added
after
a
that.
lot
Yeah.
more when he re-released those prequels.
Well, what do you mean? You know what? I'll tell you this. It's not also about um the movies themselves. It's also could there have been a better choice in actors. And I would agree. And that's with any movies. Can another person do this role better?
Who do you think for the prequels there? Who was bad and who was good to you? I'm curious.
Okay, you know what? Hayden Christensen, and unfortunately, he was very dull.
Yeah, he was. I'm
Yeah.
in complete
He
agreement. I personally I like Natalie Portman in it. I thought
Yes.
she
Yes,
did a good
Natalie
job.
Portman was great. She see, and that's what makes an a character alive, a fully alive. It's the person bringing that character alive. Natalie Portman did what she needed to do to bring Amidala, Queen, Queen Amidala, on and all of her roles as senator as the mother of the twins. She brought them to life.
I
Ewan
agree. I
Mc,
agree with that. Yeah.
Ewan McGregor was a great young Obi-Wan
Yeah, I
because
liked him too.
you could see if you look at Sir Alec Guinness and the way he was, and then how Ewan McGregor, you could see the progression how this old man became, like how Obi-Wan became. It progresses.
And I loved the relationship between him and his master, and so I love that relationship.
Mhm.
When he died, you could feel the hurt in him, and that was
Yeah.
really good acting, right?
Ian McDermott. Okay, I mean, there's nobody. I cannot find anybody else who can play Palpatine the way that Ian McDermott is. Especially
Yeah.
when they brought him in Return of the Jedi, and he comes back in, and then Ian McDermott is Palpatine. He brought that character. He brought that that dual side of him out. Like, I'm gonna be like this one person, and then but yet I'm gonna be the destruction of the whole galaxy type of person. So it's all about, again, it's all about the actors as well. Mace, yes, Samuel L. Jackson was there, and did he bring Mace Windu to life? Yeah, he did. Because Mace Windu, if you actually look at Mace Windu's backstory, he was some form of more of an aggressive type of Jedi, and his form of lightsaber battle was the fine line becoming using the dark side and the light side together. He was there. Either which way he would go, he would follow either way, right?
I think you get that a lot in the in things like Rebels and so forth. I find that they explore those sort of concepts a little bit in them, and I like that about Rebels. The fact that they were delving into these pieces and also seeing it. I wonder if they're going to do a prequel movie that relates more to Rebels and so forth, because the ship from Rebels is actually in Rogue One.
Yes.
They actually
Yes.
have it in there, and so I would enjoy seeing that. I learned more about canon from Rebels than what I did before, because I haven't read all the books, right? And I
Oh,
found that was a really good one,
well,
and
trust me,
kids
there
would
was like
love
more
it.
than 40 books to read.
Yeah, well,
How many books are we talking about? Like
We're,
after the movies or between the movies? How many books are we talking about?
we're
Are we
talking
talking
about
about like
there's about 40. Well, think about it. Heir to the Empire was 3 novels. The Yuzhan Vong trilogy was about 15 novels, right? Then you have Smithers of Mind Eye, which is and then you have the New Jedi Order books. You also have the Truth of Bakura. Uh, then the novel between Han Solo and Princess when they get engaged and finally get married. Um, there was a lot, and I'm talking about. I have a bin full. I have 2 bins fulls of books, right? And I mean, I have these two, and I found these two, and I've been keeping them. And you guys are gonna laugh because look at these
oh wow, that's
paperback
awesome.
Return of the Jedi. This Return of the Jedi is also one that actually has like some screenshots in it, like pictures from the movie. So um, these are actually, I believe, I believe for first editions. I believe first or second generation, or second editions of these books. Yeah, this is a first edition Return of the Jedi paperback.
Nice.
So
Well,
nice.
this actually brings us to the third topic here: viewing orders. If you are planning to, let's say, binge watch this, just watching the movie itself only, what do you prefer? How do you want to see? How do you want to see it? Do you want to see it based on what they actually released from episode 1 to episode 6, 8? Now, no, 6, 6, 8, 8.
eight.
Yeah,
No, you would go 4 to 6. You would go first, and the reason for that is that opening scene in 4 is one of the most iconic scenes ever, where you have the music, it comes in. I think that you get a lot more out of it when you watch it that way. And yes, having the prequels there is good, but I think if you watch it from prequel moving forward, you wouldn't have the same impact. I mean, to me, but I'm very biased on this. We grew up in the generation where these movies were released, right? So
Yeah. So I mean, like now you're gonna see, because when you take a look at it, I mean, for me, like I said, if I'm gonna binge watch, I'm gonna binge watch prequels, Rogue One, episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, and then whatever in between. Because again, that's chronicle order of the movies. Um, if I was going to tell somebody to watch them, I go which one. Like it also depends upon the person. I mean, if the person goes, "Oh, I've never seen the first, episodes 4, 5, and 6," well, go watch them. Then bring in the prequels, because when you watch 4, 5, and 6, and then or you watch the prequels first, and then you watch 4, 5, and 6, not knowing when these one actually come, they're gonna be like, "Oh, why is 4, 5, and 6 really shitty? You know, graphics and special effects and everything like that," because they were made in a time where none of these things, CGI was not around at all. So
yeah, these were all done with models and moving
practical,
cameras, and like it was revolutionary when they did it.
and that's what Lucas was. Lucas was an innovator. He a lot of these things that he needed to film these movies, they weren't around. He built them. He got them made. He spent money on it. And remember, Lucas, I believe Lucas paid for Star Wars himself. He
yes, it did. Yeah, he funded
no
himself. Yeah.
he funded for himself for Star Wars because nobody wanted to take a chance. You know,
So in other words, the order that you guys are looking at, if you are going to binge watch this, we'll start with 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, then 7, 8. So, and don't
Watch
forget
it before,
Rogue.
watch it before the end of next year, and you can go see 9 in the theater.
yeah.
Yeah, is that the order that you guys want to see it, or is it 3,
I
4,
I
5? Sorry, yeah, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, then 7, 8.
no
No, no,
that
no. It would go Rogue One, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and
no.
then
It'll be 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, then 4, 5, 6. Because Rogue One is when they stole the Death Star
Yeah,
plans.
yeah.
right, yeah, of course, yeah,
So
yeah,
in
yeah.
other words, if you're gonna let someone say, "Hey, I've never seen Star Wars before," I keep hearing about this order thing, this viewing order thing.
Again,
How
it's
do you want to? How? What do you recommend watching? How do you want me to start?
1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Derek, are you agree with that or?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. For somebody to, I think what you have to do is, as Mark said, is you have to let them know that the quality in 4, 5, 6 is different and the reasons why. But from a chronological perspective, from somebody watching it from the beginning, it would make a lot more sense to them.
For me, it's sort of the opposite. I rather recommend 4, 5, 6 than 1, 2, 3 than Rogue One. You know, the reason why is this: when the first time I saw Star Wars, seeing Episode 4, it makes me think, oh my god, what happened before that? It makes you think, and after when you go back the way they actually saw it in the theater, it's kind of like, oh, it's tying in. But as soon as you get to Rogue One, going to 4, it becomes like this it just this the whole storyline just blows up in your face. I'm like, oh my god, this is how it's supposed to be. This is everything just ties in. It feels like there's an anticipation
I
of
mean,
the whole
yeah,
thing.
again, but here's the thing: how would you watch the Harry Potter movies?
Well, again, Harry Potter was completely different because they actually shot the movie first. They shot the movie based on the
They shot the
books
movie,
orders, right?
but again, you won't tell them to watch. Like if nobody was to watch Harry Potter or anything like that, you tell them, well, watch it from 1 to 8, or 1 to 7, with parts 1 and 2 for 7, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the Star Wars. You won't, because they're gonna get lost. Like honestly, now everybody's gonna get, if you watch 4, 5, and 6, everybody's gonna get lost. Oh, because everybody knows about the prequels, right? And everybody knows the story, what happened. So there's no that that mystery, that unveiling mystery, that what we got when the prequels came out is gone. Everybody knows what this is. Like, even if somebody watched The Force Awakens already, they're like, oh wait, so how did it end up? Who's Princess Leia? Like, who's Darth Vader? Who's all this? Well, guess what? They're gonna start watching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And if they want to put Rogue One in, they'll put Rogue One in. It's hard to tell somebody now to go 4, 5, 6 because everybody knows what's going on.
And you got to remember, we've had these movies in a flurry over the last couple of years. So people have probably started to go watch Star Wars, at
Mhm.
least in some fashion, more. And so you're right. We would have to have them go in sequence to make it more reasonable for them to capture all those timelines and those pieces, right? In doing it. In fact, the most interesting question I have is, what are they going to do after 9? That's I'm curious about that. Are they going to split off and do some other individual movies, or are they going to attempt to cut it off and move on? I've heard that they're just going to stop at 9. They're going to take a new direction after 9, and I would prefer if they do that.
Yeah, and I see, and that's the thing about the whole thing about Star Wars. There were only supposed to be 9 episodes. 4, 5, and 6, then 1, 2, 3, 8, 7, 8, and 9 there was an idea, there was a little bit of writing on. Nothing was set in stone for 7, 8, and 9. And if George Lucas did not sell Star Wars, and all the rights to Disney, he may have had a different concept completely. It may have followed canon, the canon that we know
I
already.
think it probably would have. I mean,
Yeah.
it was his
I
vision, right?
see, and that's the thing. And then everybody was looking forward to seeing Mara Jade on film. They were looking forward to seeing Luke Skywalker marry Mara Jade. And and the thing is, if you don't know who Mara Jade is, Mara Jade was the Emperor's hand. Her last order by the Emperor before he died was to kill Luke Skywalker. And that stuck in her. It If she didn't do it, she would get a migraine head. Like she would get her body would go in through so much pain if she couldn't do it.
That would have been interesting. That would have been an interesting movie in itself.
Yeah.
That would have been, yeah.
And then here comes Heir to the Empire trilogy. Guess what? Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade meet up. Mara Jade trying to kill Luke Skywalker. Next you know, guess what? There's a clone of Luke Skywalker in these books, made by the hand that was lost in Bespin on Cloud City. And the way that they spelled his name was Luuke, right? Guess what? It ended up Mara Jade had ended up killing this clone Luke and fulfilling the Emperor's um, last wish. She's broken free of this will. Her body's no longer going in pain and everything like that. And she joins and becomes a smuggler. Years later, she runs into Luke Skywalker again. They go on to a mission or they talk. It's a little flirting here, a little flirting there, and it keeps on going and it progresses. It becomes to a point where it finally accumulated where they do a mission together and they're like, yeah, I have to put you underneath her force powers wasn't as strong as Luke, so Luke had to put her in a force hibernation to so that they could swim her underwater for like a great distance. And the remark, the actual words to break her out of this trance was "I love you," right? And it came out, and it was a love story that
I'm sort of surprised that Disney wouldn't grab onto that. I'm a little surprised.
and this is what everybody was waiting for. I myself was waiting for this, right? And then when Force Awakens comes out, yeah, it's like, yeah, this is Ben Solo. What? No, no, no. It's not Ben Solo. It's Ben Skywalker. That's the kid. Ben was the name for Mara Jade and Luke's kid in honor of Ben Kenobi. So, yeah, it was very disappointing for me that Mara Jade was not brought into this. She was an integral part of Luke Skywalker's life afterwards. So,
Okay. Before we continue, let's just go through the polling here.
Yeah, we only got a few
while
more
I'm
minutes
actually,
left over here
yeah.
too.
Let's just go through the polls really fast here. For mugs, actually, for the mugs, we're tied between Leonard and Mark. We're tied.
Oh,
If
come on, not even one,
I am
guys.
not
Just
joking. I am not joking.
give me
We're
like a
tied right
pity
now.
vote.
But I did saw in the chat room that they want to see our mugs again. So, Mark, you want to show your mug first before I show mine?
yeah. Oh, and they're asking who is our favorite character.
Yes.
This is my mug.
Yes, we've all seen the mug. Yeah.
And
Well,
this
well,
is
hey,
my mug. This is my mug right
This is
here.
mine.
It is Yoda mug.
mine
Okay.
has every character of the first Star Wars trilogy. Okay.
Okay, so to your chat room, feel free to start voting. Let us know. We'll go visit our polls again before the end of the show here. Also, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Derek, who's your favorite character?
I struggle with that depending on what series of movies I'm looking at. I liked the original in the prequels, Kenobi. I liked him a lot. I thought he did a really good job. I enjoyed Luke Skywalker originally, but also probably from the original, probably Han Solo the most when I'm like thinking back on it when I was originally watching the movies was Han Solo, but maybe more Luke afterwards. I don't know. It sort of goes in that direction depending on what time in my life I watched them.
For me, it's Jane. Is it Jane from Rogue One? Because you can her character.
Jyn Erso.
Yeah, her character, in my opinion, is more entwined to the Star Wars universe because well, to make a long story short, it feels like her character is more sort of like got screwed by the Empire, and you actually see it in her character and how her character became part of the Rebels. I don't know. I think her character is way more believable in the Star Wars universe. She's more normal. I think that's the best way to describe
I
it.
liked her. I mean, her father being the developer of the Death Star and so forth and so on. And I liked how Disney did that integration and solved those questions that would have come up. I enjoyed that. I couldn't really think of a better way that they would have sort of intertwined that. And of course, they, you didn't necessarily know at the end of the movie that everybody would die, but
I
because
kind of
of
like that actually, to be
no,
honest
no,
with you.
I did, and I agree that that was very poetic, and it was, they didn't know what would happen for what they were laying down their lives for, but that wasn't the point for her. Her point was, to get these plans away and basically to give the finger to the Empire, and she did that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Let's do our last topic here.
Oh, hey,
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
Nobody asked me who my favorite character was.
I don't know. I feel like you've been yapping the whole time, so presumably you already said something. Sorry.
We're almost at 11 here, so we're
Yeah,
almost
let's
at 11. So let's let Mark make his piece here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, right now I have a few as well. Right now it's Vader. Vader had that torn soul and redemption. That's why it's one of those things. We all have gone that through our lives, right? We've gone through a dark path in our life, and we redeemed ourselves because we're still here. We're still moving forward. That's why I like it. Uh, and then I got Yoda, and I also have Luke.
See, I didn't put Yoda in my list because he doesn't show up till later on. But yes, Yoda, as soon as he shows up, totally there. I'm with it. I totally understand your point about Darth Vader too.
Yeah, I mean Yoda himself is you get this wise old guy in the original trilogy. Then you get his mysterious self again in the prequels, and he shows himself as being a badass. He's like, okay, I'm this little old man, but don't mess with me because I'll slice you down with my lightsaber. So
Well, no, he draws people in by not showing that he's so strong with the Force, and people go, if he's so strong with the Force, why can't he move around? And they answered that question where, yeah, I can move around, I just choose not to, so
because I
people
don't
are
need the Force.
disarmed and so forth. Yeah, I don't need to show that.
And again, he's like the wise old grandfather that everybody has. That that old patriarch of the family that everybody goes to for some sort form of advice, but then don't give it to you directly. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they have
I
this.
agree, and I like Yoda very much, and that's why I said if they had moved, Rogue One was a great movie. If they had chosen Yoda's prequel versus Han Solo, I think it would have done better on the box office too. I
It is,
think.
but I don't want a Yoda movie
Why not?
because Yoda himself has always been a mystery. That's why even George Lucas has never revealed where he was born, the planet that the actual species that he is. It's that thing. There's only two of them in the whole Star Wars universe, right? Uh
Sorry, who's the second one?
it's a female one. She was also a Jedi.
So Yoda,
Of course, of
so
course.
they have
But
to
no, but there's only been two.
repopulate the species. That's what we're saying.
But I'm
By
just saying
force,
is
that's
that
how to do it.
and that's the thing, and that's the thing about a lot of these stories, a lot of these sci-fi things, always leave a mystery, and Yoda is that mystery for Star Wars. Who is Yoda really? And if you can leave it at that, you know, he will always have that aura around him.
I agree, but see, I loved seeing Obi-Wan's origination story. I enjoyed that. I thought it brought a lot, and that's the reason I want to. I take your point. I think that if it's done right, as I always say, with the Yoda piece, that would also be a new, lovely movie. And it doesn't necessarily have to be what planet he's from, but just him as a Padawan. That was the original idea apparently for the movie. Just him as a Padawan, seeing him how he learns the mistakes that he makes as a Padawan. I would enjoy seeing that. I think.
Yeah,
I
but I
agree.
mean,
I agree.
but that you're looking at it 800 years into the past, though.
Exactly, exactly, and there was a lot that happened back then. But
It's a
the
clean
the
slate,
Jedi was
right?
was just
Sorry.
formed. The current Jedi. Sorry, I know you hit me on that. Was first formed. The more modern Jedi was first formed around then. The reformation of the Jedi, and you can correct me and all that. But that would be an interesting thing to come out where they have those conversations around what the Force is then and so forth, and the state of the Republic at that point, right?
I agree. For me, if you are gonna redo Yo or do his origin story, I want to see it at the beginning, like how he became like a Padawan, right? But at the same time, I don't. It's almost like a clean slate for Star Wars, if for Disney to do it. If they end up doing it, doing the movie, they literally have to start from the beginning. They have to like make sure that they follow. Well, if they do it right, they follow exactly what the Bible is, the Star Wars Bible, right? And I got this feeling if they do it, they're not going to do it that way because they have to cram it for like let's say 2 hours long movie, his history in that time frame, and I got this feeling they're just gonna ruin it. But if they're doing it properly, they should be doing it properly. Like two movies, you know.
Well, okay. Well, that's a sad note to end on.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll do our last topic here. I think this is a good one here. Stormtroopers combat skills. Specifically, we are gonna be we're going to discuss the difference between the Death Troopers and Rogue One versus Stormtroopers at First Order. Who's better trained? Who's actually more badass? And what happened after Road One? Why the stormtroopers can't shoot, and why they became like a joke.
Sorry. Oh, First Order and the original.
First Order versus the Death Troopers at Road One, and what happened after Road One?
Okay.
What happened? What happened to the stormtroopers? They became like a laughing stock of
Okay.
like
So let's take a look at the progression here. You had the clone troopers who had accelerated growth, who was genetically modified out of Jango Fett's DNA to be obedient, to be to follow through, and to be creative with their killing styles. The Empire did not like this, and so they started growing their own human, original growth human individuals. And just like with any army and anything, there are some people who are going to be um, who will do well, and who are just ordinary soldiers. The Death Troopers were an elite group. They were not just they're not just a regular stormtrooper, right? These once you get away from the stormtrooper moniker, Death Troopers, uh, you know, um, the snow troopers and everything. These were individual. These are different styles
These
of
are like special forces
special
of
forces. That's right. That's
So
what I
I
was
mean,
looking for.
so
The elite.
they have better training, they have better equipment. They're specialized in whatever area that might be in. So the original, just a general stormtrooper, when you look at something like the Clone Wars and so forth, those troopers were trained from birth. All they did was learn how to fight. They were all clones, and they were professional soldiers.
Yes.
The ones in just a general stormtrooper were conscripts or
Yes.
people who joined whatever that might be, and it's a general soldier. And there's that old joke where they never hit anything or so forth, even though there's some differences in the movies where they talk about being precise and so forth. But what we see when it's on Hoth, when they invade those are white stormtroopers,
The
and
snow troopers. Yeah.
so those are elite forces that they landed, and you don't see many large amounts of stormtroopers there, with the exception of like the Death Star or something like that. But we don't actually see them fighting that much, and when they do, they're not very good because they're just a general infantry soldier, right, who has
And then
training.
let's take a look at the Force Awakens, especially to Finn. Finn got into his head. I'm not going to shoot. I'm not going to look at. So being a conscript and being conscripted into the Imperial Army and being a snow trooper, a lot of these guys didn't want to be there.
And and I don't know how it would work, but most conscripts, most people who are put in, they're just want to get out.
Yeah.
That's their main like, how long do I have to stay here until I get out? So they're not a committed soldier; they're conscripted in, right?
And if I
And I'm
shoot him, it's
sure a
going to
lot of the people there would be like that. A lot of people joining or would be involved would be conscripts.
yeah. So, I mean, again, it all depends upon the mentality and how they want to be portrayed. And I think Derek just brought up some brought up some points there. And then also the mentality is, like I said, some of them may not want to kill people, so they're purposely not aiming at them. And I don't know, like maybe that's what they were trying to portray, or maybe just the graphics themselves was. Well, think about it. Let's look at Commando or all these other 80s action movies. There's one guy, he's killing everybody, but you have tons of guys shooting at him and not they're missing them, right? Like how do you do that? You got 1,000 bullets flying at one guy and all of those miss. right?
Hey,
So,
look,
because
man,
they're
it's like the
extras
whole
from
John Wick
from
thing, you know?
Troopers. Yeah.
well,
God mode in John Wick.
but John Wick himself, well, the thing is with John Wick, he's gotten hit with bullets, he's got stabbed, he's got things. So he's literally getting hit. I'm talking about, let's say, look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not one bullet hits him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, like Chad was saying in the chat room, like it's almost like Spaceballs.
You are make it fine.
It's a Spaceballs mentality. That's why they can't shoot.
Oh my god, I gotta go watch that now. Thanks, Chad. I gotta go
Yeah.
watch it.
Okay, guys. I think that's it. We actually reached our 1 hour mark. I just want to go through the polls here, just do a final check and see what what our audience are saying. Okay, the first question is, who has the best mug? Leonard has 60% of the vote, and Mark got 40%.
That doesn't seem right.
Leonard got 60%, so I won. Mark, you got 40%. You're second place. And
I want a
Derek got
recount.
0%.
I want to recap about without Michelle voting.
If Michelle doesn't vote, I still won.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first poll. Second poll is, do you like the prequel trilogy? 100% of the people in Canada or in the world says yes, they love they like the prequel. So our polls are very accurate, ladies and gentlemen. And I just want to say thank you again for joining us in our polls. And also, this is our 10th episode. Thank you again for joining us. Much appreciated. And we are going to take a break for a bit to regroup and make sure our next 10 episodes are actually coordinated properly. And also, we do want to invite Chad to come back. Try to log in again to give his opinions regarding our conversations in today's episode. And also, I want to say thank you to Mark and Derek for making our first 10 episode amazing, and being very patient of all these technical issues we had the first 10 episodes.
Well, it was enjoyable.
Yes. So for the people who's joining us in the chat room, thank you again. I know the moving from Twitch to YouTube could be very daunting, and so far, if you guys like YouTube, we will keep staying in YouTube and simultaneously transmitting Twitch. But let us know if you guys actually like the polling and the voting. If you guys do like it, we'll start implementing that more and more on our videos. And also, if you want to join, if you want to hear us hear the podcast, definitely listen to us. Definitely subscribe in all our podcasts and everything. You can find us in Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play. So if you just type the Coffee Shop Studios, you'll find us there as well. And also definitely subscribe, follow us on Twitter, because it does tells you exactly when we start broadcasting, and when our podcasts are available to be downloaded. So Mark, Derek, any last thoughts before we sign off and be prepared to start working on the next 10 episodes?
Yeah, I gotta go watch Star Wars.
I gotta go watch Spaceballs now. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I gotta go look for Spaceballs and actually watch it. And actually, you know what? That's one movie I do not have in my collection.
Wow, I'm shocked.
I did. You know what? I don't know why I don't have it. I just don't. I mean, I even have the new Star Wars trilogy on friggin' Blu-ray, and I still don't have Spaceballs. So I gotta. If you guys find one, let me know where to get it, or if you guys can pick it up for me, please pick it up for me, because I would love to have that in my collection.
Do you check Amazon?
I am not gonna buy on Amazon. Well, yeah, I'll check on Amazon, but
If you're desperate, you'll buy something in Amazon.
yeah. Well, after my big move is done, so.
Yes. Okay, guys, thank you again for joining us. Much appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you have a time, join us in our live recording of our podcast, and you can join us in our conversation then. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.